Franco and Vincent Iwachuku. Questions for the group? On the right, Jerry.
John, someone who went to St. John's at the start of the Big East era and when Lou was here and they were a national powerhouse. What was it like for you watching this season, or last two seasons really, unfold and St. John's kind of get back to where they were when you were a student and a young alum?
I, as a former athlete and former student and alumni, we are so happy that the coach and the guys, the season that they had last year and the season that they had this year, going to the Garden and watching them play, just an amazing season. I've seen people who I haven't seen, since college days back at the Garden. The alumni are so happy the way that the team has been playing and has played and continue. I'm sure it's going to continue to play under coach. The last Italian coach got us there. Now this Italian coach is going to get us where we have to go. So Conosecco was my guy, and Pitino. So we got this thing covered with the Italians. But I think they did a great job. All these kids, they should be applauded that the season that they had, and we're looking for great things to happen in the future.
Roger, on the left.
Zuby, how much baseball have you played?
0.
Well, Coach Pitino threw out a pitch here and did pretty well with it. Did he give you any advice?
He gave me a little advice, said not to bounce it.
Have you been practicing?
Over the past 3-4 days, I say I've been, trying to throw like a pitcher, but we'll see how it goes today.
Are you nervous?
That's a good question. I think I'll be just fine.
So Bryce Hopkins is joining you guys. And Vince, this is for you too. Can you describe the way that you think you guys will rebound and attack the glass next season?
He's a physical guy, a guy that could easily get downhill and create opportunities for himself and for others as well. So, I'm just really excited, for what he brings to the table and for what we could all do as a team as far as next season. But yeah, like I said, a physical guard that could get downhill and cause mismatch problems as well. So I'm really excited for what we have ahead next season.
What do you think, Vince?
Kind of what Zuby said. Really good guy, really good guard. Can get downhill, very powerful. I think to answer your question on the glass, I think we'll be very dominant. I mean, we see how Zuby rebounds the ball, how Bryce can rebound the ball. And I think that's a part that I'm growing at too. So I think we'll be really, really dominant on that glass.
On the left.
Rick, throughout the season, you said you weren't stopping to admire what you guys have done and the record you break and that stuff. Now that the season's 2-3 weeks over, have you gotten a chance to reflect on everything your team accomplished and that you were statistically one of the best teams in St. John's history?
Yeah, I think that I certainly admire what the players did this year because, in the last game of the season, but people didn't realize the next day when it ended, Kadari and Aaron Scott both had surgery. So we were a pretty banged-up basketball team at that point. But I still, more than anything else, admire Kadari and Aaron fighting through a lot of pain. And the season they had, we played a lot of close games, and they always came out at halftime and gave it every ounce of perspiration they had in them. And the first year, we wanted to get better after the first year defensively, and we accomplished that this year. Houston and us going back and forth as the number one defensive team. And now we want to sustain that defensive prowess, and now we want to make sure that we're better offensively. And it's very difficult for newcomers to come in and at this stage and understand what these guys understand because they've been through every drill. They know what to expect. But Zuby was always there. But we have guys on our team like Vince, like Ruben, like Lefty, that get significantly better. You saw it in spots, but they got significantly better. And always in the second year. You saw with Zuby, his second season. I'm expecting Vince, Ruben, and Lefty in the second season to make great strides, along with the other guys coming in. Zuby just made Bryce Hopkins a guard, and I'm happy about that. I didn't know he was a backcourt player because we have to shore up our backcourt. So thanks for that hint.
Yeah, no problem.
Joe on the right.
First for Zuby and Vince here. Obviously, when you're playing, you hear the crowds, whether it's at the Garden or Carnesecca Arena. But now that the season's done and you get to kind of soak it in and enjoy an honor like this here at Citi Field, what does it mean to you to get this reception from New York City?
It means a lot. It's a real testament to the amount of work that we put out throughout the entire season. We went through a whole lot of adversity, ups and down moments, and we just created lifelong, memories that we're going to carry for the rest of our lives. So this is just another part of it, and we're truly grateful for this, astonishment, and we're just going to enjoy today. And the boys get to see me pitch for the first time in my life. So let's do it.
Like touch on Zuby's point, I'm just happy to be with my brothers. We've fought all season as a team, and to kind of just be in this moment to, like he says, see him pitch. I can't wait to clown him, but it's going to be great.
And then, Rick, for you, obviously you got back to work pretty much as soon as the season ended. How long do you let these guys drink it in before it's back to work for next year?
Well, we've gotten back on the court. The first day was just interesting. They didn't do too much, I could see. But we're back. I went to Milan right away as soon as the season ended. And that was a trip of trips because I went to Milan and with my assistant coach, Ricky Johns. And you have to understand, the way he drives, it's like being on the Autobahn in Germany. He was going the wrong way, and then we had to go to Bologna 2.5 hours, back to Milan. We land in New York, and then we immediately fly to San Antonio, and then back. And now we're back on the court. So we're excited to put this team together. We think sustaining it is always difficult, but there's no doubt in my mind we will accomplish that feat. We have the right nucleus back. Zuby has to improve. Every guy here has got to get significantly better, just for their futures, not for necessarily our team. But Zuby's got to get better at when the center plays drop coverage, of hitting the three and not thinking about it. Vince is going to get a lot better with ball handling on the perimeter a little bit with his passing. Ruben's got to get better shooting the basketball. I talk about it. Certainly Sim is a terrific shooter, but he's got to get it off quicker. So we all have little things that we've got to improve on, and we will work at it. Their work ethic's tremendous. Whatever he asks these guys to do, I always say this. I think the biggest hypocrisy in all of basketball is not money or what they're being paid. The biggest hypocrisy is that they get 4 hours. They're professional basketball players that should have an infinite amount of time to work on their game in the summertime because they are pros, and they give you 4 hours a week. I think that's the biggest joke of anything the NCAA has ever done in my 50 years of coaching, to give players, here they are full-time at St. John's, and it's not like they're hanging out in Manhattan, because they're not. To only get 4 hours a week is absurd. Nothing is worse than that.
Peter on the right.
Agree.
I agree 100%.
Yep.
Rick, over here. Hi. You mentioned, obviously, bringing a lot of these guys back, some of the guys you've brought in. Just what were your priorities going into this offseason, and what is still left to be done?
Well, we lost two great point guards. We lost a terrific power forward, but we have a lot of really good ones back. I put Ruben in a crucial situation. He drove baseline, dunked the basketball. He came in a non-defender, as if he was, in Portugal. It's defenses like COVID, so they try to stay away from it as much as possible. And he's gotten to be a very good defensive player as well. So they all improved defensively. Zuby can switch out on the perimeter. Vince can switch out in the perimeter, guard a point guard. They all switch very well. So we're going to keep that same defense and get better offensively. The nucleus is there. We'll shore it up. We got to get some backcourt players in, maybe one front court player. But recruiting's going well right now. So today, if Zuby takes care of business and doesn't hurt our superstar alumnus here, it'll be a good start for the Mets, the hottest team in baseball.
In the back, Bruce. Well, let's go to Tony first, and then we'll go to Bruce.
Rick, I think you're on record saying you are both a Yankees and Mets fan. What was the nature of your baseball fandom growing up and today?
Well, as a kid, I used to go watch Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, even reserves like Hector Lopez, Johnny Blanchard, Kubek, Richardson, Cletus Boyer, one of the great third basemen of all time, Whitey Ford on the mound, Yogi. And, you grow up as a youngster sitting in the bleacher seats, I think, for $1.18 at the time, if I can remember, with my two girl cousins while I lived with my grandmother in the Bronx. But I was always a Met fan of Koosman and Seaver and going back to Tommy Agee. And I'm one of the few people that rooted for both teams. Anything with NY on it, I'm 100% behind it. Certainly, Donovan Mitchell has worked with the Mets for a long period of time, and I love Donovan Jr. as well as Senior.
Bruce in the back.
Rick, you coming in here today as an attraction, your whole team. How would you describe the elevation of the St. John's brand, which is something that you really wanted to change 2 years ago when you first arrived?
We just talked about that on a radio interview. It's one thing to win 31 games, win the Big East going away, win the Big East tournament, make the NCAA. But the other day, some people said, we really, really can't wait for the Final Four. And I think they were just dying to get in the NCAA tournament, and now they're talking Final Four. And I think that to me is the building of a brand a lot quicker. Our brand right now, it's taken a lot of work by a lot of people, but it starts with winning. You can't build a brand unless you win. It starts with an exciting style of play, which the players are doing it night in and night out. A great schedule, which we're doing. We're probably going to play 9 to 10 games in the Garden next year. We're going to play a Michigan in an exhibition game in a sold-out Garden. So we're building this brand to be something special in a year where Lou has passed. And I really mean it. I always say it. It started with Joe Lapchick and then went to Lou. And whether it's Chris Mullen, Mark Jackson, Malik Sealy, or any of the guys that are all the great ones from Walter Berry on, they are St. John's. We're bringing them back. The players and myself are caretakers of Lou's legacy, and we want the alumni to come back. Guys like John being behind the team, even though he's a baseball star, means a lot to us. When he sits at the Garden, that's more important than any other celebrity.
A couple more on the left.
Similar question from Anthony's. Vince and Zuby, did you have any favorite players growing up, favorite baseball teams? I know different childhoods and everything, but anything?
Did you go to Kansas City Royals games? No?
Nothing.
Vince?
John Franco.
I watched Babe Ruth back in the day.
One more from Jerry on the right.
Hey, Rick, you talk about the brand. How does something like today or the Jimmy Fallon show a few weeks ago, the opportunities you get in New York, how does that help build the brand? And then as an extension, does it help recruiting?
I tell recruits this all the time. They ask about the Jimmy Fallon show. They'll ask about today. We won a championship at Kentucky. We won a championship at Louisville. I've been to 7 Final Fours. I was never invited on the Tonight Show, and I was never invited to throw pitches out. So when you win in New York, everything gets magnified. It's the greatest city in the world, the greatest restaurants in the world, the greatest media in the world, the financial capital of the world. And everything's great about it when you win. When you lose, as some teams have gone through some pains, it takes time to build it back up. In basketball, you can do it a lot easier. I did it with one player from New York, Jamal Mashburn, turned around a probation-ridden school at Kentucky, turned around our fortunes, and right away, first year off probation, we won the SEC, and then we're back in the Final Four. So in basketball, you could turn it around much easier than football, much easier than baseball. You can turn it around a lot quicker with 3 or 4 terrific basketball players. And right now, we've got 6 or 7 terrific players returning. We'll add to it. We've already added to it with a couple of players, and some more are ready to follow, and we're anxious to get going again. These guys want to get back on the court. They're very hungry because they lost. And I always remember losing to Kentucky in 2011-12 season, I believe it was, and then the following year we won the championship. So these guys are very bothered by losing in the second round. They're very hungry to get back to it, but it starts with just the summer work, getting stronger, getting quicker, getting better, and they'll do it. It's a very dedicated group who really represent St. John's in the right way. They really care about the name in the front. They're very selfless people. They never talk about themselves, and we had the most selfless leader I've coached in a long, long time in Kadari Richmond. The guy, no matter what he did, would never take any credit for himself, and he's going to try out for professional basketball along with Davon and Aaron, and we hope they make it in a big way.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. At this point, would you mind just stepping in front of the stage and we'll do a quick photo op?
Yep.